yapping. That we're all holding really sacred space for how the plasma light fields are increasing upon the planet right now. And that as each of us work together, we are like really a lot in how the Arcturians work, how some of these higher vibrational civilizations work, that work in pods. They actually share a lot, that they work very much similar like a pod, like a group, almost like a dolphin pod. And what this is that as each work together, each is still doing their own unique thing with the information that's coming through or with what is being worked on, but we're all simultaneously sharing it together as a network. And so within this, there are some of us that it's the job to just stabilize energy, to just hold, kind of like hold the door open. Hold the door open while maybe someone else is having to carry something, someone else is moving something, someone else is focusing on something else. And there are some within the group that it is the purpose to actually trail and to do the deeper work as far as catching the sequences, the codes, the miasmas, the dark layers of the reversal or the AI in order to begin to go in and reverse engineer. And then there are some that it's the purpose to maybe bring in, to maybe smooth out that energy, to clear out that energy, to just hold space and to love that energy. And so within this, it's really important that each of us starts to kind of get a understanding of how we work with things, because I want to really bring to awareness for each and every one of us that as we be our sovereign self, make the declaration to be our highest heart song upon the earth, that one of the things that the guardians say that's really coming through is that it really takes our awareness to hold the neutral, compassionate witness, but also know when to enact our power. And so the visualization that they put within this is for us to also hold space, love, that as much as we want to hold the intentions of what it is that we do want to create in this reality, that there are many star races, there are many councils, there are many inner earth groups, extra dimensional groups, there are many that are on ships right now, and there are many that are feet on the ground, who are doing things that most of us might think, oh my gosh, that's so dark, I don't even want to think about it. But they are doing exactly the physical work of what it is that we are manifesting the actual reality to be on this earth. So as much as we want to focus on the new earth, the light, what we want to bring, it's important to also realize there are people right now in inner earth tunnels, in the dumbs, in the underbase places, rescuing children, dealing with some of the most heinous things that most of us in this group, if we were actually physically there, we wouldn't physically be able to handle it. We would probably, our nervous system would override, we would probably get sick, we would probably have a nervous breakdown dealing with some of these energies. So there are a lot of guardian races that are very much militant beings who are entering into many dark places where they are flushing out, collapsing, and closing tunnels and Stargate places that have been overrun by these energies. And one of the things that the Guardians gave as a really good example, and sorry, I don't have a visualization for you guys, but some of the most powerful Stargates on the planet, we can't physically get to them. And I want you guys to even just picture and imagine in Jerusalem, the space where all of the thousands of people are constantly circling around that black box. You guys know what I'm talking about? Okay. In Iraq, there's other Stargates there that are incredibly powerful. There are in Washington, D.C. Now visualize these places. What's surrounding these Stargates? They have, these dark forces have created energy that sits on top of these Stargates that we literally physically can't even get to them. It's not like we're going to go and sit and do a beautiful starseed meditation on these spots, we are literally, the only way that we can really get to them is to create a collective energy and to send intention to those places. But on the physical reality, our intentions are going to reverberate to actual physical actions where militant forces will have to come in and physically clean out these areas and rescue out the living star seeds and angelics that are in those realms in order to collapse the satanic grids, the AI grids, and the dark realms. And I want to bring this forward. They're really wanting us to have an understanding that there is a place for each and every one of us in how we're doing this work. And that when we work as a collective with these stargates, that it's an awareness that goes, some of us are meant to kind of hold it from afar, but some of us might be called to actually sit in these areas, go into these areas, and actually go in and deal with these darker energies. And what we get to do as a circle is acknowledge, what is your place? Are you the doorkeeper? Are you the holder? Do you just hold the codes? Do you just hold the energy? Are you just anchoring in the light? Because again, every single one of these is required. Every single one of these stations of identity, we have to work together, because if we don't work together, the whole thing collapses. It won't work if all we do is just sit and hold light. We need to hold light for those of us that are embodying the action molecules within this body of action. I'm just going to ask all of you guys kind of understand what I'm saying within here, right? So within this, as we get to acknowledge this is where, there is that acknowledgement that within a lot of the group thinking, that a lot of people will come to it with different perspectives. Some will be like, oh, we need to take action, we need to do this. And then others will be like, oh no, all it's required is hold the light, and if you just do this. And this is where we become divided and potentially even attack each other. When in truth, what we need to acknowledge is that each of us is a different cell, a different molecule within the body of this mission. And every mission needs a different specialist in order to make the mission happen. You don't want everybody doing one thing, because then all the other stations don't get held and we aren't supported. So within that, I invite, let us really be in this higher state of understanding that everything has to be enacted on every level, everywhere from the highest dimension of holding our intentions all the way down to the place that some of us will be called to be in positions where maybe we are working in child services. Maybe we are physically having to go in to houses and rescue children from drug houses, sex trafficking, or different things that are happening on this physical planet. And that within that our job is to actually hold the energy and the support, if we're not the ones being that physical boots on the ground for this. That we want to realize it's happening on every single layer. And the reason why I want to say this is because we got guardian races right now that when we tap into it, whether they're certain Andromedan, Arcturian, Alpha Centaurian, whether it's some of these different star races that are holding different Melchizedek and Blue Ray lineage lines, they're in ships that are heavily armored, which means that many times they're in skirmishes, they're in battles, they're fighting. What are they fighting for? They're fighting for us to have our stargates reopened again. And what are they fighting? They are fighting the forces that we actually many times will see in our imaginal realms, or see in our meditations, or see as we're energetically or etherically dealing with them. And we'll get phantoms of them, or there will be times when we'll deal with them more directly in our dreams or within our homes. But we are not literally standing physically with them like many of these star races are dealing with them, as they're dealing with the energy on the moon, dealing with the energy in the underground bases, flushing out a lot of the old structures that are sitting on top of these sacred stargates. And the more that we can hold focus on different stargates around the earth, because what they keep showing is that as the plasma light fields are coming in, the solar Rishi these are waves of reinforcement that are happening upon the planet. As the solar flares are happening, as the solar flashes, we're sitting here going like, whoo, that was intense. That was wild. My dreams were more. I was feeling these light codes coming and going. When this is happening, this is also reflecting onto different actions that are happening upon the planet as far as flushing out. And the reason why it's flushing out is because when these solar Rishi flares are coming through, now what they're doing is they're flash lighting up and opening new layers of stuff that's happening that has happened, is happening, and is held within the Akashic memories of the earth. So this is very much like when you've ever gotten body work and you've maybe been getting a massage, or think about myofascial release, and you're getting some myofascial release work done in the body. And all of a sudden you're laying there in this relaxed state, and all of a sudden something's getting released in some of your bound up fascia or tissue that was holding a locked up memory or trauma in your body, and it gets released, and all of a sudden you don't know why, but you're crying, or you don't know why, but you feel these memories coming back to you that you haven't thought of since it happened, say 30 years ago. Now, that's the exact same thing that's happening to the earth. These are unlocking, but as it's unlocking, a lot of times what it's unlocking, and here's the thing that the guardians really are amplifying for us. It's not just phantom memories that are unlocking. It's not just like, oh, I'm feeling the energy and it's releasing as far as just an old memory that I get to process. A lot of the things that are being unlocked right now are our lost family. When the cataclysm in Maldek happened, when the cataclysm in the Pleiades, when the electric wars happened, when a lot of the beings got sent or locked into the inner earth, and a lot of the trapped souls that through some of the cataclysms got kind of locked and trapped, a lot of them have been locked in almost a stasis. These are the phantom or the fragmented or the lost body parts of Mother. We are the lost body parts of Mother. This is why it's so much energy put to us reclaiming our sovereignty and remembering who we are. And as you just imagine your awakening process, through it, you have connected to lots of different memories, lots of different fragments. Maybe it's like, oh my gosh, I'm connecting to this timeline, or I'm connecting to this place on earth, or I'm connecting to, maybe I was this being, maybe I was this being, maybe I was this being. The reason why is because you are a lost body part of Mother. And that as you go through your internal processes of awakening, your memories are going to constantly change. Your awarenesses are going to constantly change. The energy that you're rehabilitating and clearing, and what stargates you're connected to, what family lines are always going to keep changing. Because what you're doing is you're realizing that you're such a multifaceted being that through you, the holographic memories and the lost parts of Mother are reclaiming through you. So this is part of that. Let it pass through. Let it pass through. We don't want to get stuck on any identity. Oh, I was this once in a lifetime. This is who I am. Or I was this, or I'm this ray, or I'm this person, or I'm this star race. We don't want to click onto any of them and be like, oh, well, this is who I was and this is what I did. You are so multidimensional that would just be like boxing yourself into saying, oh, I am just who I am in this lifetime. And all of that is just nothing. So we want to acknowledge all of the multiple ways in which your soul essence has expressed itself, but also at the same time, as you acknowledge that energy through you, Mother is remembering all of herself and reclaiming all of her body parts. And some of these body parts have been lost in like a coma, in the dark, buried in amnesia, in a phantom state, completely offline. And as these solar Rishi are coming in, they're bringing in the new waves to help us get back into reclaiming our stargates, so that as this energy filters through, it's like coming out of a zombie state, or it's like coming out of a tomb and going like shaking herself, and at lost soul fragments and aspects of Maldekians, Pleiadians, different angelic lineage race signs that have been phantom lost, kind of like floating in no time, in a void for the longest time in this place, are now getting the ability to come back through the light. And our job, there's some in the group, again, this isn't everybody, you need to know what you're called to do. We all hold different little bits, right? And so some are going to be holding the sacred Stargate place that is holding light for them, so that they can reacclimate themselves and have a light to attune to. Some of us are actually going to be having to do the rehabilitation work, like going into the deep underground and dealing with the nitty-gritty, the dark, and the stuff that a lot of people don't want to see. Some of us are somewhere in these spectrums in between, and some of us are working on this on every single spectrum. As we get to do this, what we're doing, again, is holding the space as a group, honoring each other's role in all of this, honoring each other's viewpoint of what we're all seeing. And as we get to honor this, what we're doing is we're now giving Mother the capability through all of us to pull back and reclaim all of our body parts. What we're truly doing, because what has happened in these reversal times, and since the Stargate of Lyra, since the destruction in the original wars in Lyra, where there was a split and a whole part of Mother got pulled into the Phantom or the Weezadak system. What we've been doing is living out different expressions and lifetimes in these polarities in order to become the awakened awareness in these phantom experiences, to help give living light and organic form back to Mother, to find all of our missing parts. And as this acceleration happens, this is really what we're doing. We're giving her all of her memories back. We're bringing back all of the body parts back. And this is the phantom stuff. This is a lot of the shadow work that we're doing. This is why I'm going to invite you guys in such a deep way, that I know it's not comfortable to do the shadow work. I know it's not comfortable to go back and look at our childhood, maybe look at some of the things that happened to us. But if there's anything that we get triggered by now, without a doubt, it's coming from a fractalized quantum expression that we experienced in our childhood. And that there is, just like as Nathan shared with us, that there is no trauma that's just like, oh, no big deal, it's not as bad as what other people went through. We want to acknowledge on the deepest levels that it's our job to go back and retrieve all of our inner children, all of those aspects of ourselves that felt any kind of sadness, trauma, unloved, not respected, not protected. And this is beyond just the things that we would think of as an actual trauma. Sure, we can sit and go like, oh, if my parents yelled, or if I went through take a list of any of the traumas that a child might go through, that we could go like, oh yeah, okay, well, that makes sense. But truly, we want to start to get into our place and find, where have I been triggered or not accepting another starseed or another light worker's path and how one is enacting their mission? Because here's the gift within us. If we're triggered in any way by anything, we also have the opportunity to catch a lot of the hybridization and the infiltration that has happened throughout the genetic lineage lines. And I'm gonna touch on this just a little bit within our Stargate, and then we're gonna take this into our meditation within. And I'm going to also invite each of you. I got the opportunity to hear Lisa Renee's latest newsletter, and she did it on the 10th Stargate, and I was listening to it yesterday. And I almost sent it out to you guys, but I'm gonna send it out with today's recording, because I was sitting there going like, oh my gosh, it was such a powerful confirmation for a lot of the energy that a lot of us have been working on. And this is a really beautiful way that if you go in and you get a chance to read it, you'll get to read it with some of the ways that we have been talking, and get to hear the understanding of all of the different ways we are expressing ourselves and supporting ourselves. And when you read it, you're also going to get, without a doubt, the number one message that the Guardians have been sharing really strongly for us, is that the reason why we're being asked to enact and to put our power into a state of action, the divine cosmic mother energy that also shows her dark side, that also shows the destroyer aspect. Why? Because they're saying the number one thing we're fighting right now is AI. And AI is the number one thing that started to come and overtake and infiltrate into some of these draconian races and into these Anunnaki races. And it was convincing them that the thing that they needed to do was come in and create hybridization with the Aeonic, with the Essene, with the Denisovian. I absolutely loved it. I was just kind of flipping out reading her newsletter from her, because she actually highlighted within there the Bugagi Mountains within Romania. So all the conversations that we've been having about all of the underground tunnels and places that are being revealed right now through Romania, that are connected to Tibet, that are connected to Giza, that are connected to even Iran, Iraq, and I believe there's another one in China. She was touching into this. She started to actually touch into the original indigo races. She didn't refer to the Denisovians directly, but she was absolutely referring to the Stargate Keepers and the original race lines that were seeded by the Hyperboreans, which are the Denisovians that we have just had a conversation about. So it was just a really beautiful. I was super grateful to the Guardians that she wrote such an extensive thing that was just a massive confirmation for us for what they've been showing us. And this is how interconnected we are. This is why we're even being drawn to remember these things, is because what's happening is specifically some of these massive stargates are coming online through these new solar Rishi codes that are coming in. So we've been saying this, these plasma rays from the solar rays are actually the solar Rishis. They are the solar rainbow dragons. Now you're going to read her thing and you're going to go like, holy crap, there's just so many layers to it. There's so many different family lines. There's so many branches to them. There's so many different rays of the original Melchizedek lineage lines, all the way down to all these different factions that are split off branches that all hold a different mission and a different purpose. And from the body of mother, this is why I was really so enlivened by the story of, there's a Hungarian fairy story, and it's really tied to this energy of the Denisovians. That when the cosmic egg, when the mother from the avian and the cosmic egg was laid, that what she birthed from her were all of these stars, and these stars were these fairies, these winged ones, this winged race line. And they were birthed as a caretaker, a mothering or a nurturing for the Mother Earth. And then when we think of Mother Earth, it's really important for us to remember Mother Earth isn't us. We're just one tiny little aspect of her. We're supposed to be the guardians of the earth. We're supposed to be these descendants of the Namalu'u, but we're doing a really crap job of it. And our job, as we start to remember, we're going to remember, oh my gosh, I'm not here to just protect humanity or me or my rights. We are remembering we're here to protect all the natural realms, the earth realms. And so this is the huge pull for us to start to connect to all the other tribes, all the other kingdoms, and all the other groups on the earth that are holding guardianship roles. And most of these are in the inner earth or in the elemental realms, like the fairies, the woodland beings, the mystical beings that we think of, and the ant races, the Telosians, the Agarthans, all of these inner earth beings. These are the ones that, in truth, as we start to connect to them, that it's truly an invitation for us to be quite humble as we do it, because they are actually holding a lot more of their memories than we are. So we get to reconnect to them in such a way that says, I am ready to remember again what I was actually created for. And so even within Lisa Renee's newsletter, there was an aspect in there. She referred to the cosmic mother, that as the cosmic mother, she birthed this specific Melchizedek or sapphire or blue dragon race line upon the earth that expressed itself as this. They are the holders of this light code. So imagine as the cosmic mother being truly in a lot of ways the Milky Way galaxy. And as we imagine her birthing in, that many times she births in specific races that are just different rays, different dragon line colors, sapphire dragons, magenta dragons, diamond dragons, rainbow dragons, blue ray dragons, all of these different dragon lineage lines that are holding, what are they? They're holding different rays, different frequencies, different colors, and each one holds a different purpose within the larger cog or the larger spectrum of how the mother is operating from her larger body. And I love that she even made a reference in there that each of us are just like a cell within the larger body. And so therefore that even matched a lot of our metaphor that we have been working with on our purpose of how we express our seed, our spark, our light, and who we are here to be. And so within this, as we get to look at this, that from the Lyran times, Lyran Vega, 10th Stargate, Vega is holding the primary place where these wars for humanity took place. This is the 10th Stargate in Lyra. It is one of the primary places. It sometimes holds our North Star position. It is one of the primary energies that, as it holds the histories of it, it is one of the places where the distortion and the rift started to happen, that wanted to move up to the 11th and the 12th Stargate, to Avion and to Aramatena, but within the 10th Stargate, we created a structure within the 11th and the half structure in order to create a seal to hold all the drama and trauma in this orb, and so we could deal with it. It's kind of like we're a big fat cell. What does a fat cell do in the body? It is protecting the rest of the body from the toxins. That's what our cells do. They protect, they hold, they bind, in order for us to go in there and then begin to healthily, without intoxicating or creating poison for the rest of the body, a way to deal with what's in there so that we can move it out of the system, bring it back into homeostasis and correction. The 10th Stargate has a replication to other Stargates that replicate here on the Earth, but one of the primary ones, Iran, Iraq. And so this is where they were showing us in a deep way. This is going to be our powerful time of how do we use our intentions, because this is in Lyra Vega, this 10th Stargate. This was the original distortion place for the Seraphim, for the Michael families, She even touches into a lot of the beings that we've been talking to, even, gosh, I'm not going to have them all off the top of my head. And I said it wrong even when I was trying to present it in the video. Padma Savada Yogananda. I'm going to make some of you smile, going like, you just totally said that so wrong. Anyways, as we get to look at this, and in some of these holders of the wisdom, these are going to be the Taras. These are going to be even the divine feminine beings that have hold the yoga positions for the earth. Think about how powerful yoga is. A lot of these beings that have been holding these sacred stargates are the wisdom teachers of the sacred yoga lineage lines. This even goes down into the Zoroastrians, the Essenes, and many of the Egyptian timelines that we have been working to correct. There's a whole lot to it. The primary energy, though, that they are really wanting us to understand within here is that each of these lines, this is where we get to have the discernment. How many of you have been drawn to, say, Tibetan Buddhism, or to maybe Hindu teachings, maybe to even some of the teachings from, say, Rudolf Steiner and some of those? But every time you tap into it, and I'm even going to say a lot of the stuff that came through later through Ashayana Deane's work, it came through as high vibrational, but it also started to get distorted, infiltrated. How many of you have been kind of resonant with different things like, oh, the lotus, or this yogic teaching, or this mystical practice, or this line of spiritualized thinking? But every time you're drawn to it, you've never been drawn to fully jump into the practice, do the mantras, or evoke the incantations or anything within it. Do any of you guys have experiences like that? Yeah. Here's why. Because it's from the Lyra Vega Stargate. This is where the original bastardization and the hybridization from the Seraphim. So who are the Seraphim again? The Seraphim are the golden dragons. The Seraphim are also the winged dragons and the winged serpentine races. So there's an interesting term on the earth. We talk a lot about the sacred serpent lineage line, but guess what? The bastardized version of it and the reversal energy of it is something called the brotherhood of the snake. Every single sacred teaching out there from the original Christos teachings has a reversal teaching to the earth that feels almost right, but not quite right. And when you're drawn to it, it means you hold the genetic lineage line in you that is here to go in and clean up that very distortion. And so part of this is the Michael. Immediately within the 10th Stargate timelines, they started to create a reversal or a clone or a dark Archangel Michael. They cloned Michael. They cloned every kind of teacher on the planet has been cloned and is a phantom, or what is also referred to as a moon chain or Luciferian energy. And so this is why some of the most highly targeted and hit people are those that are spiritualized. Those that want to have a spiritual practice, those that want to believe in something, those that want to pray to something, those that want to believe. And then what happens? Let's look at the absolute darkest aspect of us. Is then these religions where you will get into a place where you feel like you need to circle a black box. And you don't realize that you are actually feeding energy to one of the most satanic energies on the planet. Because you are so divine in your heart of wanting to serve something good, that you are literally a martyr and a slave to something that is AI, because the AI is not stupid. It's brilliant. It's freaking overtaking many star races and star systems. It's brilliant. Why? What does it do? It studies us. It learns us. It learns how our physiology works in our body. And then it finds ways to replicate the sensations of that in order to lure us into a false sense of security, faith, and believing. And then it infiltrates the minds of very selfish and self-serving people who want power, and then convinces them to create chaos in the world. And through chaos, we get into a subservient place where we will do anything in order to feel safe. We will dumb down enough to give our power away that says, well, I may not totally agree or believe in what they're doing, or I may not even like them, but maybe if I do what they say, then I'll feel safe. Then I'll have money. They won't mess with the money system. They won't collapse. We won't go into another recession. We won't have this worry about all of this scary stuff happening on the planet. And then all of a sudden you watch masses, millions, billions of people giving their power away because they would rather believe in a false system than to stand up for their own inner sovereignty. This is what we're watching on the planet. And the reason why it's so convincing is it is playing off of our own psychology. And I'm going to bring in one other thing, because this is what the guides were showing me yesterday. And it was just like, oh, now I get it. Now I understand. We've had conversations about the, I always say the name of this book wrong. It is in the books and PDF section if you'd like it. It is the alien love bite that we've talked about, the alien love bite energy, this energy of how many of us have been abducted, and that as we were abducted, that many times we were bonded through really, benevolent kind of ways, bonded to someone else. Another child being abducted. They abduct a bunch of children, they bring them in to a ship, and the children start to create familiarity. This is my friend. This is someone I really care about. And so they spend the time in the childhood to create warm, fuzzy, happy, friendly feelings. As abductions continue through later on in life, what now they do is through the ages where now that child is of a mature age, and they can begin to introduce sexual energy, they will now start to have them bond in a sexual way on these ships through these abductions. Now, what are they doing? They're actually observing. They're observing one of our base primary energies upon the planet. They're observing what moves our hormones, what moves our emotions, what moves how we are inspired, why we do the things we do. And as they observe that, then they take these beings and they put them back in the real world. And at a certain time, they orchestrate for them to come back together again. A chance meeting. Usually these individuals are married, children, in their own relationships, and all of a sudden someone walks into their life and they don't know why, but I can't stop thinking about you. It feels like I know you. I feels like there's like this weird attraction that logically makes no freaking sense. And then from frequency generators, whatever technology they have, they will actually amplify certain implants or certain frequencies in the people in order to try to bring them together. What are they doing? If you read the book, you will see without a doubt, this gives us another layer, is they're researching us, they're studying us, they're figuring out what makes us tick. Why did you buy that shirt you're wearing? Why do you eat the food you eat? Why do you live where you live? Why have you been in the relationships that you've been? Why have you made a lot of the decisions you've made? I will tell you, we don't even know. most of the reasons why we've made most of the decisions we've made. But on these other quantified levels, there are systems that have been researching us that actually know exactly why we just made that decision. And it's not a question for them. It's like, watch this, they're going to choose this. Why are they going to choose red? Watch, they will. So now what are we doing? What are we doing is we're actually going in, and now we're taking the new solar Rishi energy that's coming in. We are catching everything that's filtering out through us. We are allowing ourselves to be in the highest vibration continuously, and allowing, as the information pulls through us, we enact within our own highest regard. What is it that we are here to do? And through your own connection to your guides, to your counsel, to the higher dimensional beings of which you are working, you now enact your mission, your purpose. Are you trailing? Are you moving? Are you catching through a lot of different timelines within yourself, where you now have access to that wisdom, where you can collapse things maybe all the way back through all of time? And then as we do this, we are creating the energetic field that creates now the openings for the physical people to go into many of these actual physical locations of where these stargates are, to begin to now clean them out, take back the actual land, take back the actual physical area of where these stargates are, so that we can begin to now embed around these stargates the highest dimensional energies in order to support the evolutionary path that we're on. So I'm just going to say, for any of you that are even drawn to any of these stargates, any of these places, be incredibly mindful, because they are all booby trapped. All of them. All of them have false holographic overlays into them. And our job is to actually many times sit with them and then do the grid work necessary to begin to reinstate, clear them out, and heal them out. We want to be mindful of the first energies that come forward, the first beings that come forward, the first things that come forward, because I will say, false ascended masters, false beings are incredibly beautiful and bright. And we need to use our internal discernment to, before we start to really merge with any energies, ask them to fully and completely reveal their true self. Drop all veils of deception that you call from your 12th dimensional to 16th dimensional consciousness, that you have the right to see them in their pure blueprint as they truly are. And I will tell you, more than 50% of the time, when the true form is revealed, it's not beautiful anymore. I want to be really real with you guys with this, so that there is a level of us being incredibly discerning within this. So as we get this opportunity today, that I'm going to invite each of you to have a little bit of a different understanding of the dragon lineage lines. A lot of them are elementals. A lot of them are in the ley lines, the grid lines. A lot of them are actually in the areas around the stargates and have been Stargate keepers. I was actually quite shocked too that she brought mention to the Cantarians and the Katara, Katara dragons, because this is something that the Guardians were having me really look at again. I've actually had a lot of Katarian dragon soul beings come forward and be in my presence lately, where I've gotten to really connect with their energy and their vibration. These are some of the beings that they're Stargate keepers. But many times they got pulled in. They are one of the most afflicted race lines, who were pulled in and forced, hybridized with these dragon moth race lines and beings. and pulled into the Weezadak system. So they were pulled in to enact for the service of the dark sun. And now through these light codes and rehabilitations, as we get to connect to a lot of these Katarians, that we are having the opportunity to work with dragon lines that on the deepest level are in service to source, but have a lot of distorted fields within them that are actually very, very beneficial for us to support and connect into, because they hold the codes to a lot of the reversal energy that we can now grab it, know what sequences and codes they are working with, so we can now shut down the back doors of their codes. This isn't much different than when we talk about light language, new codes coming in, and the holographic way in which the universe is representing itself. That we want to get into a place of acknowledging we work with computers and we're working with connecting on an internet right now, but I don't know. I'm not going to say none of us know. I sure as heck don't know how to go into the back end of the system and the code that is making the Zoom work for us right now. I don't know how to go into the back system and the code and work with what it was that even told this computer that when I push this button that the screen's going to turn on, right? I don't know that. All I know is what true organic codes feel like. And then our job is to really hand it off to the specialized teams that know how to work with it. And a lot of us are part of these specialized teams that know how to go into the reversal systems and be the new code, like a, what do they call them? The virus. When you open up an email and that email has a virus in it that now infects the entire computer, we are that many times the reversal virus into the dark web of their system. And so when we have the courage to go into these dark places that most people don't want to go, you are the reversal code that sends in the new packet of sequencing code that starts to rewrite the code back into the organic code. So know that whatever it is that you're doing, you don't have to always logically know what it's doing, but if you hold the intention that you are holding the vibration of reinstating all of the organic body parts of Mother back into consciousness, that we get to be in this place to be so mindful of the neutral, compassionate witness, non-judgment. And I'm going to invite us within the biggest way that we are an organic soul circle, that we are a way to support and to also uplift each other, and also catch within us any places that we might want to be like, oh, that's really weird what they're doing, or oh, I don't have that, or oh, it feels like they're still working with this or with that. And catch that, and immediately catch the AI that is infiltrating that judgmental thought through your neural processors within your operating system. And let's catch it. Let's reverse it. Let's clear it. And let's reinstate ourselves back into realizing that there are so many multitudes of organizations within the angelic realms that we're not all meant to do everything exactly the same. But on the base codes, we are all in service to the source light. We are all in service to the base packet seed that we are. And that is the true vibration that we really get to step into. And so within this, I'm going to take us just into a mini meditation within this. And they're just saying to be really gentle. This is going to ramp up a little bit. There's a lot of light workers that are being called to move to some of these nasty, infested Stargate areas. And when they do, we will feel the energy of it exploding out. It's very much like a lot of hornets' nests are going to start to get poked. And our job is to really be the directors of energy of this energy. And the way we fortify ourselves is through holding our seed light and our light energy so that the hornet doesn't sting us, because otherwise it can feel like you've literally just gotten attacked. And it's not anything that we want to take personal. It's just something that we want to allow to amplify our auric field around us, so that this light source field that we're holding, we're being the intention in the middle of it. We're being the intention of this energy. But as we vibrate these intentions out, we are maintaining our field around us. And the last thing that they're saying before we do this meditation is that we also have to realize that when we get triggered, when we feel things, when things come up for us, when we feel like, oh, well, I'm, one of the ways it comes up is we decide, oh, I want to cut that person out, or I don't want to be around that person, or I want this or that, or this or that needs to be this way in my life. I'm going to invite you right now, if that comes up, immediately catch, what is it that is being triggered? What is it that I'm not wanting to see? What is it that I think I'm moving away from? Because a lot of times what they're saying is that we have to remember when we're inside this orb of light. And so now we might be protected from all the hornet's nests that are coming, but they're saying that don't forget, a lot of the stuff that you have come here to actually be a transmuter of is actually inside of you. You are no different than the layers of the earth. And just as much as the solar Rishi codes are coming, you are having layers inside of you that are being opened up, where the lost body parts of mother are being reinstated and remembered. And so therefore you can't run from your own shit. Never going to happen. And if something else is triggering you, more than likely 9 times out of 10, it has nothing to do with them. It's your shit. Find it. Be the spiritual adult. It's the divine mother. She's she's the destroyer too. She loves us, but she also says, be responsible, stand up. Be this with me.